Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Joey. Ever since Francis Ngannou's brutal KO over Stipe Miocic to claim the heavyweight championship, there's been talk, there's been speculation about a potential super fight between Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones. And one of the main narratives that's been pushed by Dana White and others is that Jon Jones is scared of Francis Ngannou. And for people who may not follow the sport super closely, they may buy into this narrative. Some people who do follow the sport may buy into this narrative. But it's just simply not true. This is a negotiating tactic used by the UFC and Dana White. They've used it time and time again. They used it to say GSP was scared to fight Johnny Hendricks. They used it to say Rose didn't want to fight Weili Zhang, which eventually ended up getting made for UFC 261. And it's just not true. If you go back over a year ago, Jon Jones fought that close decision to Dominic Reyes. And after that, there was speculation there was going to be an immediate rematch, but there was negotiating issues with the UFC and Jon Jones. Jon Jones obviously wanting higher pay. I don't know. We don't know specifics of any of the numbers or anything. But, obviously there is a notable history of fighter pay complaints from UFC fighters. And I know that's everywhere. But it just seems like every other day a guy's complaining about, UFC pay. And Dana White said something that I thought was particularly interesting. He said, Jon Jones wants Deontay Wilder money. And that just goes to show you the money for the top-tier boxers is just crazy compared to the MMA fighters. Jon Jones is considered, like him or not, his history, his pop positives, his outside the octagon trouble. He is one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. A lot of people consider him the GOAT. He's number one pound for pound ranked right now. And to sit there and act like to pay him a substantial amount of money is ludicrous. It's just plain stupid. The UFC should pay him. And obviously, I don't have access to any of the information on the numbers or anything like that. But I just feel like there's got to be a way for the UFC to negotiate with him and come back where Jon Jones is happy and the UFC is happy, because Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou is the absolute fight to make. Nobody wants to see Ngannou versus Derrick Lewis, even though Derrick Lewis has earned himself a title shot. He's on 4 wins. He's just coming off that impressive KO of Curtis Blades. But right now, it's the time to make Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou. Everyone wants to see it. I think it will be the biggest UFC fight of all time, the biggest pay-per-view of all time. And I just think it's an awesome fight, and it's a fun fight. Francis Ngannou's power versus Jon Jones heavyweight debut, which everyone's been itching to see Jon Jones at heavyweight for so long. People have been begging for Jones to go up to heavyweight for so long, and it's finally going to happen. I think the UFC just needs to pay the guy and make it happen. But as far as back to the narrative of the UFC, Dana White saying, Jon Jones is scared to fight Ngannou. Let's look back at Jon Jones' resume because, whether you want to say in his last 2 fights they were closer than they should have been or something, a lot of people think Dominic Reyes won. Just look back at his history of fights. He took the belt off Shogun Rua, and I know, Shogun Rua is obviously nobody now, but at the time he was a world beater. Then you look, he beat Rampage Jackson. Rampage was a knockout artist at the time. That was when Rampage was Rampage. Then he beats Lyoto Machida. Tough fight. Then he beats Rashad Evans, former training partner. Then he beats TRT Vitor. That's when Vitor was scary as can be. And he took that fight on relatively short notice. Then he destroys Chael Sonnen. Obviously, that doesn't mean nothing. Fights in that amazing fight against Alexander Gustafsson. Then he fights Glover Teixeira. I was actually there live for that fight. Then he fights, and this I think is probably his best win on his resume, Daniel Cormier. Great fight. That's when he went to decision, but Jon Jones clearly won all 5 rounds. But Daniel Cormier, he's consensus probably number 2 greatest heavyweight of all time. So, a win over him, even at light heavyweight, means a lot. Then he has a lackluster performance against OSP. Then he knocked out Daniel Cormier in a rematch, which was then overturned to a no contest because of he popped for some type of substance. Then he rematches Gustafsson, destroys him. Then he fights Anthony Smith, beats him to a decision. Then he fights Thiago Santos, decision. Then he fights Dominic Reyes, decision. Jon Jones, over the consistency of his career, has taken challenger after challenger after challenger. And, it's just a stupid narrative to say that he's scared. even Daniel Cormier, who's not Jon Jones' biggest fan, comes out. There's no way he's scared. It's all about the money in this matchup. And I just wanted to do a video, kind of stating that. And hopefully the UFC makes this fight, because I think this is the fight to make. And, Jon Jones consistently takes the toughest fights. Over the course of his career, as you look back, he fought murderer's row at light heavyweight. And he even wanted to fight Ngannou before Ngannou was even the champion. So it is what it is. Let me know in the comment section, would you rather see Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou next, or Francis Ngannou versus Derrick Lewis 2 for the heavyweight title next? Because I feel like the majority of people, whether you're a Jon Jones fan or not, I think everyone wants to see Ngannou versus Jon Jones. So let me know in the comment section. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.